good mind? We hope you do. When I think about memory and mind, I think about all the tests that I've prepared for in my life. And I think the final test that I'm preparing for is the one when I leave this world. You, that's the final one. But I remember everything we know is a part of our mind and memory. We know both bad and good. Things that's happened to us that have a negative impact on us, and the thing that happened to us that have a positive impact on us. Life is, it sort of comes to us in a variety of ways. And what happens in our life pretty much depends on whether we draw from our negative side or our positive side in life as far as our memories are concerned. Someone said that memory is like an art gallery. You can collect all the beauty in the world, and it belongs to you. They have said that it's a paradise from which no one can be driven. What your memory is automatically and rightfully yours, and it belongs to you, and no one else is going to rob you of it. I suppose if people who are professional people of wiping your mind clean could do that with machines and so on, but most of all, 99.9% of us have a mind, and we draw good and bad things from that mind, and it is an art gallery. We can gather everything from it. Someone else said that memory is an art of immortality. Those who you have loved and cared for and have died are with you forever because of your memory. You remember them and know them for who they are and what they meant for you in the world. Someone else has said that memory is like a bank account in which you deposited both the good and the bad, and you can withdraw whatever you want whenever you want to through the idea of memory. Well, memory is what keeps us alive. There isn't any question about that. We remember the things that move us forward and keeps us going in the world. Our lesson today that Doug read for us a moment ago had to do with memory and what memory meant to Peter and his experience in life and what he come to know and to live by for as far as he was concerned. You'll remember we only have Peter's account here, what happened to him when Jesus was taken away and to be taken before Pilate and the high priest, and later to the cross, and the disciples all scattered, not just Peter, they all scattered and went to a variety of places. And Peter found himself in the courtyard of the building and by a fire warming himself, when one young woman came by and said to him, "Well, you're one of the fellow's disciples, aren't you?" And Peter denied that he ever knew him. Another woman came by and was there, and she said, "Well, you're one of them. I recognize you as you were with him." And Peter denied the second time that he didn't know who she was talking about. It certainly wasn't him. And finally a man seemed to get it right, and he said to her, he said to Peter, "I remember you. You're a Galilean, I can tell by your speech." Now, I thought only West Virginians could be told by the way they talk. But they remembered Peter because he was a Galilean, the way he spoke. I'll never forget, if you have never been around Bluefield, West Virginia, I'll never forget the first time I went to Bluefield as superintendent of Bluefield District, when I went among the people of Bluefield. Bluefield is farther south than Richmond, Virginia. Did you know that? It absolutely is farther south than Richmond, Virginia. And all those people, well, not all of them, but 90% of those people there spoke deep Southern with a deep Southern drawl. And it just amazed me the way that they talked. I used to kid them and say, well, you folks don't talk right down here at all. But that's what they thought about me too, I'm sure. But anyway, they knew Peter by his speech that he was a Galilean. If you'd go from West Virginia up to New York and Rhode Island, some of the other places in the Far East and North, well, they'd say, you must be from West Virginia the way you talk, you know. And we wouldn't deny that, would we? At all. So Peter was immediately taken back by all this. And he denied 3 times he didn't know the Lord, and suddenly a rooster crowed. And then Peter remembered what Jesus had said to him. Peter, before the rooster crows, you will deny 3 times that you ever knew me. And Peter remembered. Peter remembered. Remember memory? Peter remembered. And when Peter remembered what his Lord had said and what he had done, he went out, and the Bible says he wept bitterly because he had drawn upon the negative side of his mind instead of the positive side of his mind. I wonder what would happen to Peter if he had remembered his call, how Jesus called him as a fisherman to leave his boats and nets and come and follow him in the world. And Peter left and followed Jesus. I wonder what he'd have thought about if he considered the time when Jesus rebuked him, when Jesus told the disciples that he was going to be crucified, going to a cross and be crucified for them. Peter said, well, Lord, be it far from you. That can't happen to you. And Jesus said to Peter, Peter, get thee behind me, Satan. You savor not the things of God, but the things of man. And so he rebuked him. And what about the time of Peter's confession? If he could have only remembered that time, what a great moment that was. A mountaintop experience in his life. And Jesus said, who do men say that I am? And all they said, some of them said that you're John the Baptist, some say you're Elijah, some say you're one of the other prophets. But Jesus said, who do you say I am? And Peter spoke up and said, you're the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus said, Simon, flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father in heaven has revealed this to you. And upon this affirmation I'll build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Think of that. If Peter could only have remembered what a high moment in his life, if he could have remembered. And then what about the time when Jesus came by in the upper room and decided that he was going to wash his disciples' feet? And they said, oh, no. And he went from one to the other, washing the feet of the disciples, and declared himself to be a servant, not one who was to be served necessarily, but a servant of all. Well, I'm just pointing this out to you because it makes sense to me how important our mind and memory really is. I like the idea that memory is a bank account into which we put good things, more good things, I hope, than bad, but we put them in there, and we can draw on that account anytime we want to in life. I draw on my memory a lot. The fact of the matter is, sometimes I draw from places that are not good. You know, we were laying in bed on Friday evening and heard the fireworks. And I was laying there listening to them, and I said to Jan, I said, I can't go to sleep. I'm just going to get up. And she said, what's going on? I said, well, I just remembered that I was on a hill in Korea. And you don't know anything about this, but if this is a hill here, and you're on that hill, and they decide they want to throw artillery and mortar fire on the hill, if you're here, they start here and walk right up the hill till they get on top of it. They'll throw one on the right, one on the left, the next one comes right in the middle. And I got to thinking about that, and I couldn't go to sleep. I said, I got to get up. And I was 2 o'clock in the morning before I got back to bed. But that's a bad side of memory. It wasn't a good side, you see. From that perspective, I should have remembered right away the good things of life. I've been redeemed. I belong to Him. But we don't always do those things. We don't always do what we know we ought to do. Our best is not always the best. It is sometimes the worst that we allow to happen because of our memory. We remember or don't remember the things we should remember in life. Now this morning we're going to come to His table. And what is written across that table? Do this, what? In remembrance of me, He said. And so as we come to His table this morning to commune with Him, let us remember how much He loved us. He loved us enough to die for us. If there had not been another person in this whole world, He would have died for you and you and you. He would have died for us. But there was. He died for a multitude of peoples, all of civilization. He died for them all that they might be saved. He came to do for us what we could not do for ourselves. Do this in remembrance of me. As often as you eat this bread and drink from this cup, you remember my death until I come again. So may God give us the kind of memory we need this morning as we come to His table. Amen.